2017 has been one of the best years in gaming. I think it has been the best year in gaming since 2007, which I personally consider to be the best year in gaming history ever. However, with so many questionable decisions this year, such as loot boxes and DLC and grinding entering the AAA market like we've never seen before, I think 2017 is also one of the worst years in gaming since 2007, and actually might be setting an unprecedented future that we've never seen in gaming before. So before I get started into 2017, I have to talk about 2007. 2007, we saw so many great original IPs and sequels to games that fans were waiting for so long. Okay, a lot of these original IPs that we saw have been basically being milked to this day. We saw smaller titles such as Crackdown and MotorStorm, and Heavenly Sword, but we also saw some amazing brand new IPs. We saw Portal, we saw BioShock, we saw The Witcher. Okay, Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out that year, which basically set the precedent for first-person shooters for the last 10 years or so. We saw Super Mario Galaxy, which in my opinion, yes, I've played Super Mario Odyssey, I still think Super Mario Galaxy is the best 3D Mario game I have ever played. We saw Crysis, we saw Uncharted, the Uncharted series started in 2007, Assassin's Creed started in 2007, Mass Effect started in 2007. I mean, all these games have basically been milked to death at this point. Back then we also saw sequel to God of War. We saw God of War 2. We finally got Halo 3 finish the fight, right? Yeah, right. And we saw Half-Life 2 Episode 2, Team Fortress 2. That all came out in the orange box, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's the best deal in gaming history. If you guys look it up, the orange box, please go and look up what was in there. Some of the best games contained of all time. We got Project Gotham Racing 4. We had the PS3 first version of PS3 Ratchet & Clank game called Tools of Destruction. We got Splinter Cell Double Agent. We got one of the best games on Nintendo console. We got Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Okay, we got Forza Motorsport 2, which wasn't that much better than Forza 1. It was greatly overshadowed by Forza 3, but it was still a great game. Okay, and we also got some smaller titles like Stranglehold, which I personally enjoyed. We got the Simpsons game, which was still pretty fun. And of course we got like the best game of the whole year. We got Yaris by Toyota, right? Yaris from Toyota. So, I mean, other years have been great since then too. 2008 we saw Mirror's Edge. We got Dead Space, we got Little Big Planet, we got GTA 4. Of course, GTA 4 probably the biggest one of 2008. 2009 we got Arkham Asylum, which was, set the bar for superhero games. We got Bayonetta, which was amazing from Platinum Games. We got Demon Souls, which, was a precursor to Dark Souls. In 2010, we had lots of sequels from the games that came out in 2007. We also had Red Dead Redemption, which was, received very well. Now we're all eagerly waiting for Red Dead 2 in 2018, right? But, that's why, all those years were great too, but 2007 was just the best, right? Original IPs, sequels to great games. The market wasn't flooded with DLC and loot boxes and all this other stuff, microtransactions, right? At least not to the extent that it is today. So fast forward, 10 years from 2007 to 2017, right? Why has 2017 been such a great year? In 2017, right, PlayStation started the year off pretty great. It started off the year with Gravity Rush 2 and Kingdom Hearts 2.8. Okay, and then we followed that up with Resident Evil 7, which is one of my personal favorites of the year. Then PlayStation came back with Tales of Berseria. And then Xbox follows it up with Halo Wars 2. Again, PlayStation comes back with Horizon Zero Dawn. And then PlayStation comes back with Neo. Okay, I mean, just by February, PlayStation already has around 4 to 5 great exclusives just by February. Xbox has Halo Wars 2 by then. And of course, we're talking about console exclusives here because, again, everything coming to Xbox has also been on PC this year, and will continue to be, as Microsoft already announced. But, in March, PlayStation hits it again out of the park with Nier Automata. I'm not trying to play favoritism towards PlayStation or anything. I'm just stating facts. PlayStation absolutely killed it this year in the exclusives department. Right, March we had Mass Effect Andromeda, although it wasn't you know, it wasn't received well by fans or by critics. There were some dedicated fans, such as myself, who still played it to the end and enjoyed most of it. I really did like it, but you know, it has its obvious faults, right? So I can't discount that. But then in March, you know, we also had Super Mario Run, and I know it's kind of weird for me to mention an iOS game, you know, compared to everything I've been mentioning so far, but I think it's important to note Super Mario Run was one of Nintendo's first attempts at developing a serious app, serious mobile game with a high-profile IP, such as Mario. Right, and then of course in March we also see the Switch release, and on day one of that we see Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on both the Wii U and the Switch. By the way, I have not played that yet. That is next on my list. I'm actually currently replaying Ninja Gaiden Black right now on the original Xbox through backwards compatibility. That is one thing I have to give Xbox this year, is that they did really support backwards compatibility on both the 360 and on, you know, they opened it up to the original Xbox. And even though they're lacking on exclusives this year, you know, sort of allowing people who have previously purchased other good games to replay them or to play them for the first time is still a plus. I have to give them something here. They sort of need that, right? Okay, so back to the games. April, Persona 5, another PS4 exclusive. Okay, I mean, PlayStation just by April has so many great games that you could literally spend all year playing just PS4 exclusives that were released up to April. Right, then Yooka-Laylee of course comes out, and Yooka-Laylee it was highly anticipated, right? Lots of hype behind it, but I think personally it was kind of a letdown, and I think a lot of fans would agree. Okay, then we had Tekken 7, right, in June, and we had ARMS, two great fighting games in my opinion. Even though I don't think Tekken 7 is as good as some of the previous Tekkens, Tekken 5 is still my personal favorite. I still think Tekken 7 was a great attempt at going to next-gen consoles. I don't know why I'm still calling it next-gen, by the way. Crash Bandicoot also, okay, another PS4 exclusive. They remastered, completely redid Crash Bandicoot. I enjoyed it, except for constantly falling off the platforms on those bridge levels, which everybody who's played the game knows at this point was kind of changed for this version of the game, but still, nonetheless, it was amazing, it was fun. Final Fantasy XII comes out the following month, Zodiac Age. I mean, again, another PS4 exclusive. What is Xbox doing? How can they not see this and you know, say something about it? How can they not acknowledge it? I know Phil Spencer has great intentions, but you know, he's not following through with what he's been saying lately, that he's gonna make Xbox the greatest place to play games. It's not, okay? I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but it's not. Okay, next comes out Splatoon 2, right? Splatoon 2 comes out in July. That's, you know, another great Switch game if you like first Splatoon. I didn't really click with me, so I didn't really get Splatoon 2, but you know, it's great for the fans there, especially people who only own a Switch. Pyre came out that year, month 2, and again, that's another console exclusive. It's also on PC though. It's a console PS4 exclusive, but it's also on PC. Then of course, you know, later in August we have the insanely popular Lawbreakers, right? That just shows unstoppable momentum at this point, so don't even try to get in its way. Okay, then of course we have the fan favorite Sonic Mania released that month too, which I actually personally enjoyed. I got it for the Switch, really fun to play it in handheld mode. Of course, then we say another Switch exclusive that month, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, well received by fans, well received by critics. Then of course another PlayStation 4 exclusive, great, you know, DLC, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy comes out. It's basically turned into a full single-player experience. You know, I streamed the whole thing on my channel. I loved every second of it. Great game. Then of course we got Knack 2 Baby in September, right? I mean, the greatest game of the year right there. You know, why even continue the list? I don't know, but I'll keep going anyways. We get Death of the Outsider that month too. We get, okay, well this is sort of a personal favorite. I like Dragon Ball Xenoverse, so I stuck Xenoverse 2 on this list. We get, okay, Xbox had a win with this one for sure. In September we got Cuphead, and Cuphead is one of the most artistically appealing games, not just of the year, probably ever made. Okay, it's super difficult. I have yet to beat it. That's why I stopped the walkthrough on my channel. You know, I just wanted to play other more relaxing or slightly, you know, games that other games were taking up my time, so I just stopped Cuphead, but it's still one of my favorite games of the year. Star Fox 2 finally came out after so many years, you know, on the SNES Classic. So, you know, definitely check that out on my channel if you get a chance. So in October we see Forza 7, Destiny 2, Evil Within 2. Lots, 3 sequels. I personally enjoyed Evil Within 2 a lot. Okay, I'm playing that on my channel. I will continue it eventually, but right now I'm busy with other games, but I will continue that eventually. Destiny 2 I have not picked up, and I will not, just because I got tired of Destiny 1 after the first 2 years, and I saw what they were doing with the loot boxes and the loot crates, so I just stopped, and I said, you know what, I feel like that's what they're going to do with Destiny 2, and that is what they continue to do with Destiny 2, so I stopped, and I'm not going to buy that. Forza 7 I did pick up. Forza 7 is actually really amazing, especially if you have a 4K TV, but I'm definitely going to be talking about that a little later on in this video, in the part when we discuss why 2017 was one of the worst years in gaming. So in October also we got GT Sport. Right, so many years since the last GT, we got GT Sport. That's also going to show up in why 2017 has been one of the worst years in gaming since 2007. Then we get the great South Park Fractured But Whole, a really great game that connected with both fans and critics. We get Assassin's Creed Origins, right? For the first time in a long time, Assassin's Creed took a year off and it came back this year. So it feels like they almost wanted to reinvent what Assassin's Creed was, and I feel like they kind of did that because it does feel like somewhat of a departure from traditional Assassin's Creed. But if you like it, that's probably what they're going to go on with in the next few years, right? That style of gameplay. Then of course we got Super Mario Odyssey, one of my favorite games of the year. And we got Wolfenstein 2, also a really, really great game this year. In November, we saw, traditional, we saw the COD, World War II, we saw Star Wars Battlefront 2, and something I wanted to mention, Rocket League came out on the Switch, and I think that's a really big deal, because I think the Switch is showing, initially, I'm not going to lie, when I first saw the Switch, I had my doubts about it. I thought, okay, it's not a really powerful home console, it's not the most portable handheld console, so where is it going to find its games, where is it going to find its audience? But I think they proved me wrong this year, and I'm happy for Nintendo for doing that. That showed that they have great exclusives, that they have good multi-platform support, and I think having Rocket League on the Switch is a really big win, and that's actually now the 4th time I bought Rocket League. I bought it first on the PC, then I bought it on PS4, then I bought it on Xbox One, and then now I have it on the Switch. That's how much I love this game, and I think it's really great support for the Switch. Okay, so that basically carries us through the bigger games of the year. Okay, so up through November we see all these really big games, and that list, right, was pretty comprehensive, and I think most of those games on that list, I don't think you can really go wrong with any of them. I think if you really play any one of them to death, you will enjoy them, but there are a lot of games on that list also that are sort of counterproductive to what gaming should be. It's counterproductive to the consumer. It's sort of against the consumer. Okay, this year, so all those games, they show why 2017 was a great year. Okay, but 2017 also had a lot of problems. So a lot of those games I listed, right, they were huge with the critics. Some of them, such as Forza 7, right? Forza 7 has pretty good scores on Metacritic if you check, right? But the users on Metacritic, the users on Amazon, me personally, right? We're not aligning with what the critics are aligning with anymore, and it's because we have to pay out of pocket to buy those microtransactions, to pay for season passes, to pay for the VIP pass in Forza 7, right? That are being misadvertised, that are making us believe we're getting more content than we actually are. And so a lot of games this year, the critics and the users are almost on two different ends of the spectrum, right? I mean, GT Sport doesn't have the highest reviews from the critics, but the users, right, especially on Amazon, especially on Metacritic, they're not liking what was contained in GT Sport. Okay, it was always online when it first came out. There was a lack of content for people who wanted to play offline, and even if you stayed online, there wasn't that much content to play unless you really were into the multiplayer racing, the competitive multiplayer racing. So I mean, I remember reading the interview with Kazunori. He said, we could have called GT Sport GT7, because it contains that much content, it contains that much innovation in the Gran Turismo series, and I don't believe that. Okay, GT Sport is lacking so much compared to GT5, GT6 that it should not have been, he should have never even said that it should be called GT7. There's no way it should be called GT7. Right, then we have Star Wars Battlefront 2, right, and I think this is one of the games that both critics and users actually agreed on was just a just a bad game. I mean, its gameplay is there, right? I feel bad for all the programmers and the engineers who worked hard, because the gameplay, the graphics are there, but everything else, right? The story mode is lackluster. The loot boxes were prevalent, right, throughout the beta, throughout the open beta. You know, same thing with Call of Duty World War II, same thing with Destiny 2. Destiny 2 doesn't have it as bad as World War II or Battlefront 2. But Destiny 2 is, you know, it's definitely there. The fact that their shaders were one-time use, the fact that there's so many little microtransactions you can buy here and there, and all these games, you know, they're just infected with these thoughts of DLC, of microtransactions. The publishers want to go and get you, okay? Star Wars Battlefront 2, the companies, I mean, EA completely reversed their decision on Star Wars Battlefront 2 the day the game came out, and all, you know, and lots of these games, Forza 7 released, reversed their decision on the VIP pass or the car pass, I forget which one of those, after the game came out. So my question is, you know, why do publishers, why do developers, well no, it's mainly the publishers, why do the publishers push these games, you know, to contain these microtransactions, to be ruined by these microtransactions, and then the day the game comes out, they see the backlash and they reverse their decisions? Why not reverse it before all this happens, before the press knows about it, before the users get hold of it, before, you know, Reddit is blowing up with all these articles and all these comments about these games? You know, and I think the reason they do that is because, you know, the executives up top, they want to see how far they can push the customers, okay? So they said, okay, this time in Star Wars Battlefront 2, we pushed a little bit too far, so next time we'll tone it back just a little bit, right? So that the users, so that we can do this and we can do that, and the users will hopefully accept it to a certain degree. And I think that's why they do that, right? So, I mean, I'm really happy for myself, because this is the first year I have not bought a COD game in a while. I did not buy Star Wars Battlefront 2, I did not buy Destiny 2. Bungie used to be my favorite developers, Call of Duty used to be one of my favorite series, Star Wars used to be one of my favorite franchises. I have not bought either of them at all, which makes me really happy. And I'll admit, I still played some Star Wars Battlefront 2 through EA Access. I still felt a little bit dirty about doing it, but I only played about 2 hours, I swear. I haven't played any more since then. Okay, let's talk about EA. EA is single-handedly ruining a lot of the video game industry just by themselves. Okay, first of all, they're such a powerful franchise, right? They own some of the, I mean, company, publisher. They own some of the biggest IPs. They own all the sports games, right? Not all the sports games, a lot of the sports games. So this year, I mean, I don't know what they were doing, but they must, you know, maybe it was a shift in management, maybe it was a shift in ideas. I mean, so many of their games this year were just hampered by quality problems, by bugs, by DLC, by microtransactions. I don't know what they were thinking this year. I mean, Star Wars Battlefront 2, I don't even need to talk about that anymore. Need for Speed, I mean, it's not brought up very often. That game was just ruined by grinding and by so many notorious practices. I mean, Need for Speed used to be one of my favorite racing games. Need for Speed Underground, Need for Speed Underground 2, you know, just Need for Speed 2. I loved all those games, so why? You know, why EA? Why are you doing this? Mass Effect Andromeda, you know, it's clear that EA did not put the money into the Andromeda or the time or the care into it, you know, as much as they're trying to do for Anthem, okay? And it's like, why? Why would you destroy one of your most beloved franchises? You know, why would you sacrifice it for the sake of another? And maybe it's because their whole philosophy of them not taking single-player games as seriously as they used to, right? Telling people that single-player games aren't as popular as they used to be. Maybe they fully believe that, and maybe that's why they pushed for Andromeda to come out in the state that it was in. And hopefully they're gonna, you know, well, not hopefully, they're probably gonna put all their resources now into Anthem, right? Turn that into some sort of Destiny clone, where you probably have to go and get loot and get new armor, and probably, you know, have tons and tons of microtransactions backing that. I can almost guarantee it. Okay. You know, I mean, this year EA did so bad that lawmakers, right, I don't even have to bring this, I'm sure you guys have already heard this, right? Lawmakers are now trying to sort out the severity of loot boxes on kids and teens. Countries are now investigating this, okay? And I think that's good and bad. It's good because now the mainstream is taking notice, right? Now they're noticing how these companies are taking advantage of them. But it's bad because they might get overeager and try to put too strict policies on these companies, which may limit creativity. So, I mean, I don't know what the exact right solution to this is, but Apple, right? Apple recently updated their developer policy on the App Store, and they said, you know, they're now forcing apps that contain certain types of loot boxes to display what the chances of getting those loot boxes are, and I think what the chances of getting the items in each loot box are. And I think that's actually a really smart way to start taking responsibility, because otherwise they would rather step in themselves and create their own rules than have the government come in and start creating restrictions on basically their platform, right? And I think Sony, Microsoft, I think the Google Play Store, I think anybody, Steam maybe, you know, actually Steam definitely, right? Any platform that contains games where loot boxes are rampant, right? Especially the mobile app store, but even now AAA games, I think it's very important that the platform holders start to take responsibility, because I think if they don't, the government or somebody else will, and I don't think that'll be very fun or good for anybody involved. So another point I want to bring up about 2017 being not the best year in gaming, Xbox. Okay, I can't even believe that I would have to be talking about Xbox. Back 2007, 2008, I was defending Xbox. I mean, like crazy to all my friends, to all my relatives, everyone I knew. I was like, Xbox 360 is it, man. That's the console you should be getting. Now it's like I'm recommending Nintendo's consoles over Xbox, and I never, ever in the last 10 years thought I would be doing that. Okay, the only games I remember coming out this year exclusive for the Xbox, even though they also came on PC, I'm giving Xbox I'm even giving them benefit of the doubt here. Okay, is we had Halo Wars 2, right? We had Forza 7, we had Cuphead, right? And then we have PUBG, which is pretty broken on the original Xbox, and then we also have Super Lucky's Tale, right? Which was day one with the Xbox One X, right? Oh boy, what a fun title, let me tell you. So Xbox, right, had Halo Wars 2, which initially was, I think, very okay. Then it's been sustained through DLC and through season passes. You know, it's not the most impressive game in my opinion. I love the original Halo Wars. I did not buy Halo Wars 2. It just did not appeal to me at all. Ever since 343 took over the Halo franchise and Microsoft did, I haven't really been attracted to Halo as much since then, which is ironic because now Bungie is making another game which I'm not attracted to either. But we had Halo Wars 2, then we had Forza 7, right? Forza 7 was marred by DLC, right? It was on the surface, it looks very beautiful, but underneath it has like manipulative systems, leveling up manipulative systems, and all this other loot box type stuff, right? Cuphead, okay, that was a great game, I'll give it to them. I can't really say anything negative about that. PUBG, it's great if you have an Xbox One X. Actually, it's not that great, it's still okay, but if you have it on the original Xbox, it's basically a broken experience. Okay, so hold off on that until they start patching it like crazy. Okay, so Xbox had almost no games, right? And it was crazy because last generation there was a joke, right? PlayStation has no games. And it's like this generation, it's like Xbox has no games, right? And Switch has even like great exclusives, and they keep surprising us with even more exclusives and multi-platform support. So where is Xbox exclusives, right? I've been saying Phil Spencer, he seems like a nice guy. Last 2 years he's been saying Xbox has the greatest lineup in game, like Xbox history, the last 2 years, right? It's like, no, just because you have a diversity of games does not mean you have a quality, like a line of quality games, right? It's not about quantity, it's about quality. PlayStation has both, and that's actually amazing that they have both. Okay, that's very difficult to do, to have both quantity and quality. But Xbox is lacking on the quantity, they're lacking on the quality, and you know, I'm just so shocked that they're not pushing out. I mean, ever since the generation started, Xbox has been having troubles. Ever since they showed off the console, they showed it off in an entertainment-focused way.
Here, and I have a nice thing called featured highlights, so I can see clips of my favorite players when they've done things, even if I'm not there. So let me throw this one to the full screen. Here's my center, Tyson Chandler, and here's how he helps me dominate the fantasy league with plays like that. Always very nice. All right, now what you're seeing is just one example of what we can do with live TV, but can you imagine what we could do with the Super Bowl? Dominate! Or the Golden Globes? Dominate! Or even with political debates? Dominate!
Then, and plus the console looked like one of the original Blu-ray players. right? And then later they showed off at E3, and then they get rid of the Kinect, and then they announced the Xbox One S, which is improvement. Then now they're finally at the X, which is an even bigger improvement in hardware, and you know, in terms of what Microsoft is trying to do. But still, where are the games, right? You have the most powerful gaming console, and yet the games I keep seeing in the commercials are like Minecraft, right? So where are the games? Sony, right, on top of having great exclusives, right? They even have exclusives deals with both, you know, with Activision, including on Call of Duty and Destiny 2, right, in the Destiny series. And I don't care what you say about those games, right? You know, you can think whatever you want about those two titles, but you can't deny that Sony is making all the right moves, right? I mean, Destiny 2 and Call of Duty, regardless of their loot boxes, regardless of their quality, they sell really well, and Sony knew that, and that's why they have these exclusive deals, right? Microsoft used to be the one with the exclusive deals. They used to be the one where Call of Duty had all the content first, right? They had that for like several years. So what is Microsoft doing? Not only, the only multi-platform game that they were able to bring in for now is PUBG, and I can almost guarantee that's a timed exclusive, right? But you know, Sony is making all these right moves that Microsoft used to make, and it's just so surprising to me that Microsoft is trying so hard and they're being really successful in the hardware department, but in the software department, they are almost completely lacking. And it's sad that, you know, I have to recommend at this stage any other console, right? I can even recommend PC at this point, and I'm not even a PC guy, right? But I would rather recommend a PC over Xbox right now at this point, especially if you own the original Xbox, right? It's like, why did you buy the original and the Xbox One X when you could have just bought maybe $200-300 more and got a good, really good PC, okay? So, you know, 2018, hopefully Xbox fixes this up, right? I mean, PUBG Crackdown 3 is coming out in 2018, which, you know, hopefully looks a lot better than what they've been showing off. I got a chance to play it at E3, and it's not at the state of where it needed to be back in June. Hopefully it's at a much better state when they release it, I don't know, sometime in the spring. I mean, the state it was in, it was playable. It was not that it wasn't playable, it just didn't feel like that much of an evolution at all over Crackdown 1 and 2, and it just felt like, why does this game even exist? Sea of Thieves is coming out, right? And of course you can play it in the alpha right now if you get in. I am in the alpha. I think it's a good game. I think it has potential, and honestly right now it's really hard for me to gauge how it's going to do, because you know, they have updates constantly for the alpha, and lately they had a really good update, but I just don't know what to think about it right now. I really couldn't say whether it's going to be a great hit or successful. I think initially it's going to be seen as okay, and I think it might build up momentum after that as they keep adding more patches. That's what I predict. And you know, Sony and Nintendo have a pretty hopeful 2018. I mean, Sony's got Spider-Man, God of War, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, and so Sony's doing just fine. There's no need to worry about Sony. One thing I would like to see in 2018 that would be great is if we had cross-platform with all three platforms, but that'll be something that's something I would really love for Sony to do, but you know, that's that. So you know, this year 2017 has been amazing. It's been great, it's been fun, lots of variety of games, both in quality and quantity, and great sequels, some original IPs. I think overall a really great year. Again, lots of also just downsized loot boxes, day one DLCs, major AAA games infected with bad practices, Xbox falling behind. So yeah. So those are my thoughts on why 2017 is one of the best and worst years in gaming since 2007. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think was the best year in gaming and why. Remember to like and subscribe for more ad-free gaming videos, and thanks for watching.
Dominate!